The last time I came before the council, I quoted the great Thomas Jefferson. He's an absolute hero to Americans. He said, and I'll repeat it again, "Fellow citizens, a wise and frugal government which shall restrain men from injuring one another shall leave them otherwise free to regulate their own pursuits of industry and improvement." Seems to me that today Mr. Jefferson would probably be considered a radical with those kind of opinions. And the city of Linton has shown yet again their inability to be either wise or frugal, as the chief of police has taken action against me, criminal action, which seems geared towards throwing me in a cage for 180 days.
What you just saw was the beginning of my latest speech before the Linton City Council. This group of people, the City Council, appropriates taxpayer money to pay the salaries of the local police. My goal in speaking before them was the same as it has always been: to plead with the council to put a halt to funding these men, whom I see as domestic terrorists. The last time I made an appearance before this council, my speech was met with criminal charges filed by the chief of the local domestic terrorists, Paul Clark. The chief, Paul Clark, spent many hours writing up a 5-page long probable cause affidavit charging me with a Class B misdemeanor. The charge was false informing, which could see me sat in jail for an extensive period of time. We are going to show you the original speech that led the chief to such a state of anger that he wrote to the prosecutor asking him to have me kidnapped. But first, let's finish watching this latest address. Here it is now.
You're probably aware. I've got a 5-year-old kid. I've got a new kid on the way. She's about to be born in July. And it seems crazy to me that the city of Linton can just so frivolously fund this gentleman over here, this overweight tax cattle back here, who has nothing to report to you. He obviously hasn't stopped crimes. I've heard reports from somebody in the audience today that when they call, his department does not show up. But he did have the time to just type up 5 pages worth of information about me, claiming that I lied about his department breaking into my home. He says that he has no evidence that he broke or his department broke into my home. Well, I've never known a felon to keep evidence of his criminal behavior, right? I think after you've committed the crime and you realize that it's bad, you usually kind of dispose of that stuff. So no wonder he doesn't have proof that him or members of his department committed these acts. Of course, I'm sure everybody knows one of those members who was reportedly present at that time has actually been charged with a felony since then. So perhaps he's not the most admirable character, right, to like hang your hat on and maybe charge me.
Who was charged with felony?
I believe William Caden Walker. Yes.
Since then? Since you're...
Oh yeah, since then. I just thought I would make my plea with you all again to abolish this terrorist organization that does seem fit on ruining the people's in Linton's lives who seem undesirable to them. All right. My life has been severely affected. My family's life has been severely affected. And I would hate to see my 5-year-old grow up for even 180 days without his daddy there to raise him, show him discipline, show him what respect means, show him what it means to not be a thief or a liar, right? So with that being said, I'll give back my time. Hopefully I didn't go over your 3 minutes.
Just in case anybody would like to call my bluff, we are going to show you a video of the first speech that led Mr. Clark to violate his oath by writing up a 5-page long criminal affidavit about me. Then after, we are going to review that affidavit and see its contents. But first, here's that video.
I represent a faction of people in the city of Linton that are oftentimes not heard, but are still real people nonetheless. They have families and loved ones. I'm here to speak about what's written on the side of our police cruisers here in town, that is, to protect and serve. On July 26, 2022, in Linton, Indiana, armed thugs showed up at my home when I was not there. They kicked in the door and searched my house looking for me. Not having any luck when they couldn't locate me, they left.
Sir, what was your name? I didn't catch it.
My name is Craig.
Craig?
Yes.
Last name?
It's Hendry.
Could you
Hendry.
Oh, okay. Thank you. I'm sorry, I didn't
Yeah.
catch that.
No problem. Shortly after I returned home around midnight that night, the aggressors returned as well. They banged loudly on my door and demanded that I allow them entry. They threatened to break into my home if I did not comply with their demands. When I opened the door, I was kidnapped by them and hauled to a concrete cage where they kept me against my will for a period of 45 days. Who were these disrespectful thugs that did this to me, my family, and our property, you may ask? It was none other than the Linton Police Department. They told me the reason that they did this, the reason that they were protecting and serving the absolute crap out of me on this particular occasion was because I had sold cannabis, a plant that grows from the ground, to consenting adults almost a year earlier. Right? Obviously a good reason to break into somebody's home. Not. They told me that the Linton PD's actions demonstrate the extreme need to abolish this entire department. Right? When the local police are not wandering around aimlessly, spending taxpayer dollars on gas, creating wear and tear on the vehicles that we've paid for, and all the while collecting a generous salary at the expense of the taxpayers, when they are not doing this, it seems they are dead set on terrorizing those of the community that seem to be undesirable to them. Of course, we know that the Linton City Council won't abolish these useless and dangerous tax leeches because they seem to fall into that same category. But to the council members' benefit, they don't personally go out and extort the community through traffic tickets or terrorize them under the color of law. But to the council members' detriment, nobody has advocated that we rid ourselves of this poison that uses taxpayer money to harass taxpayers. In closing this, I will quote the great Thomas Jefferson. He said, quote, "Fellow citizens, a wise and frugal government which shall restrain men from injuring one another, shall leave them otherwise free to regulate their own affairs." Sorry, let me get this right. Their own pursuits of industry and improvement, and shall not take from the mouth of labor the bread it has earned. This is the sum of good government, unquote. We can see that in Jefferson's estimation,
Linton has become a bad government, as it is hard to conceive how their actions of destroying my property, kidnapping me, and taking me from my family, and holding me in a concrete cage against my will, was geared towards preventing me from injuring another.
to the contrary, this attack on me at the hands of the city of Linton was geared towards injuring me, my reputation, my family's sustenance, but most importantly, it was geared towards depriving me of my liberty. A crime that is unforgivable at best, but in days past, the penalties for taking a man's liberty have risen to the level of death, and I think that shouldn't be forgotten. So with that, the whole purpose of that is, I ask that you abolish this terrorist organization that is sponsored by the taxpayers of Linton, Indiana. If there's any questions or comments, I'd be happy to take them at this time.
Appreciate you coming before the council with your concerns. Their concerns have been heard. We have no intention of abolishing the Linton Police Department. We stand behind our law enforcement officers, and I would like to offer the floor to Paul Clark. If you have anything to say in rebuttal to the public comment, sir.
I would say that the public records in Mr. Hendry's case speak for themselves. No need for me to make a comment.
That we haven't received after requesting.
I was talking about the probable cause affidavits and warrants and all of those things issued through the
Right,
courts.
but the video of you breaking into my home has still been, it's been withheld, right? You have not released this. Why?
This is not a place for the debate of this. It's
Right.
for the comment.
It's because he broke into my home and you guys allowed it to happen and you back it up. Thank you. Thank you for doing that.
We are now going to show you the probable cause affidavit in part, so that you may see the relevant pieces where this gentleman, Paul Clark, has had me charged for speaking at a city council meeting. The undersigned, being duly swore upon his oath, says that upon information and belief that Craig Robert Hendry, me, has committed the offense of false informing as a Class B misdemeanor, and in support thereof says as follows. Craig Hendry presented to the council a prepared statement, During his prepared statement, Henry made a number of allegations regarding the Linton Police Department. Many of those allegations are false. Henry knew that the statements he made to the Linton City Council were false because he knew he was legally taken into custody, not kidnapped. He also knew that he was not held by the Linton Police Department in a concrete cage, but was transported to meet a Vigo County deputy sheriff to be taken to their concrete cages. Despite finding the time to write up 5 pages of information to have me thrown in a cage, he feels so arrogant and confident in the city council funding him that he doesn't feel the need to reinforce the need for his police department.
Paul, you have anything?
I don't have anything for the council, sir.
All right.
He has no tales of heroism to tell, no crimes against humanity that his department has prevented. He just has simply nothing to report for the last 2 months.
Paul, you have anything?
I don't have anything for the council, sir.
All right.
Though while he was busy writing up false charges against me for free speech, he was neglecting to even show up to calls in his city.
Called the police department on March 31st about a dog almost bit me. The dispatcher said, and it was at 7:10 p.m., I've got it right here on the phone. The dispatcher said that they was on call and they would send someone over. I'm still waiting for that someone to come over. So I need them to show up when I call. But when I call the police department, out of respect, somebody should show up. I was up until 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, still waiting. And like I said, I'm still waiting. Nobody has showed up. So that means there's no report. There's nothing I can do if anything happens and I go to court.
Jenny, what was your last name?
So they know to retaliate on you as well, ma'am.
Well, I know some of the people on here, and I trust you do the right thing. You get them to do their job. We're paying them for our service. We're using our tax money for them to do their jobs.
I guess when you're obsessing over ruining somebody's life in the most cowardly way possible, it is pretty difficult to actually do what you're paid to do. You might want to know if this gentleman feels any shame at all following his exhibitions of cowardice and worthlessness, so we asked him for you.
Paul, how's it going, man?
Yes, sir. What can I do for you?
I was just wondering, do you feel in any way ashamed that you had somebody criminally charged for speech?
You're getting ready to start a meeting, Craig. Have a seat.
All right, but I'm going to stay standing, but just wanted, no comment from you?
You'll not get a comment from me.
Mr. Clark, I was wondering if this is going to be a trend, charging people for speaking at city council meetings? Is this going to be a, I'll be out here since I plan on talking to you, but is it going to be a trend for you? If people say words that you don't like, you're going to try to have them kidnapped? That is precisely the response I would expect from a coward. Are you going to run now?
Yep.
Okay. Man, I know that if I was doing that and I swore an oath up to the Constitution, I would feel like a real piece of crap. I'd feel like a real piece of crap.
Thanks for your insight.
Yeah.
See ya. Have a good day.
You're welcome. You're welcome, Clark. Excuse me.
Oh, you want a cupcake? There's cupcakes here.
No, thank you. I appreciate the offer. Mr. Clark, you're a coward. The police chief of Linton, Indiana is a coward. In this day and age, the people who claim to be brave enough to protect and serve others are so offended at mere words that they have now fallen to the level of school children. The saying, "Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me," comes to mind. But the words I spoke at the Linton City Council meeting were so harmful to this public official that he seeks to have me serve time behind bars. These actions are paralleled by those of the Soviet Union and Germany in the 1940s, when they would lock people up for speaking negatively about political parties or individuals in government. We cannot judge a government by their constitution or the ideals they speak of. What we can judge them by is their actions. The government's actions in the United States over the course of its short existence have included such atrocities as kidnapping, theft, and mass murder, to name just a few. The question I pose now to you is, what would you do if your government used the resources they bought under the guise of protecting you to ruin you? Leave your comments below and smack that like button for me. I'll see you in the next video.